Hey guys, I figured today I'm just going to talk to you instead of make you all read my misspelled words all over Instagram story. Anyways, so today I'm going to talk about acidity in winemaking and cider making. And acidity is probably one of the most important aspects when making wine and cider. And there's a few different reasons why. One of the first is taste. It's mouthfeel. If a wine is too acidic, it's going to be really sharp. If a wine's not acidic enough, it's going to be really, really flabby. The other reason why it's important to understand acidity in the wine that you're making is because if a wine's not acidic enough, it's going to have potential for unwanted microorganisms to grow and spoil the wine. And if wine is too acidic, it can also stress out the yeast. And you can have some problems with fermentation. That's why it's really important when preparing a wine to understand the pH and the acidity that's going on within that wine when you're starting to prepare it and before you're fermenting it. So right here I've got a blueberry apple cider that I've been preparing. It's been cold soaking for about 5 days. I probably would have already adjusted the pH earlier, but I ran out of acid and I needed to order more, and I finally got it, and I was going to cold soak it anyway, so here I am 5 days later. But anyways, it's been cold soaking for 5 days. I still have not inoculated it with yeast, and it has not been fermented. So basically I just have like a really nice, beautiful blueberry apple juice. And so what we're going to do right here is we're going to test the acidity using a pH meter. And a pH meter, what it does is it tests on a scale of how acidic or how basic something is. And essentially the way that the scale works is the lower the number is, the more acidic it is. And the higher the number is, the more basic it is or more alkaline it is. So the range that we're going for as a winemaker is generally between 3.2 and 3.6. And that's what we want to see. And a lot of fruits are going to kind of put you naturally right there. But oftentimes, as a winemaker, you need to make some acid adjustments. And usually it's an acid addition rather than an acid subtraction. Because too much acid is not something that we often come across in winemaking, but it is a problem that does happen. So let's go ahead and test the wine right here and see if you guys can see this. So right now we've got 3.42. 3.42. Now, I'm really happy with that actually in a cider. Generally for a cider, I like to go around 3.4. Like I said, too much acid, too low on the scale, too much acid, it's going to be really, really sharp. And cider apples, naturally can do that. Too low on the scale, and it's going to be flabby. It's just not going to have that crispness that you want in an apple cider. Or certain kinds of wines, depending on the style of wine that you're making. So there's different kinds of acid in fruits, and depending on what kind of wine we're making, what kind of country wine or what kind of cider we're making, can help guide us on what kind of acid we should really be using. The different kinds of acids in fruits are citric acid, malic acid, and tartaric acid. Of course, there's also many others, but those are really the common ones. And citric acid is found in citrus fruits, and it's also found in berries like strawberries and I believe raspberries and things like that. Malic acid is found in tart apples. It's found in stone fruits like peaches and cherries and things like that. It's also found in grapes and bananas as well. The next one is tartaric acid, and tartaric acid is really primarily only found in grapes. It's also, I think, in avocados and something else. I can't remember. But tartaric acid is really the primary acid in grapes. So since right here I'm making a blueberry apple cider, and really this juice is primarily apple juice. It's a Honeycrisp apple juice. I'm going to go ahead and add malic acid because the natural acid that's most prevalent within tart apples is malic acid. So this is gonna go naturally with the acid that's already in that apple juice. So I'm not going to add any acid right here today, but if I was, I would add this. If I was making a grape wine, I would probably add tartaric acid, and tartaric acid, like I said, is the type of acid that's found in grapes, and that's gonna it's a different. I think it's a little bit sharper of a feel. They each kind of have different mouth feels, and not to say you can't necessarily use tartaric acid in a cider and vice versa and things like that, but you do sort of need to understand the different types of acid and how you're adding them to the fruits. Because, for instance, if you add citric acid to a grape wine that you're going to do a malolactic fermentation on, you're going to get diacetyl created as a byproduct, which is that buttery aroma that you find in Chardonnays and different red wines. It's good in a lot of wines, but maybe on the kind of wine that you're making, you don't want that diacetyl. So depending on what you're doing with the wines, you can actually have different things happen. That's for the most part my talk on acid in winemaking. I hope you guys learned something. Feel free to message me any questions, and have a good one.